Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. As always, we love hearing from you. Let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Now, sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's story. It's the summer of 2022, in the heart of New York City. The skyline glows with ambition, wealth, and endless possibilities. A place where dreams are made, or sometimes broken. Tonight, we're stepping into the life of Aaron Carter, a 35-year-old who's spent the last decade building a life he's proud of. Aaron is the kind of guy who plays by the rules, and he's climbed his way up in a real estate company known for big deals and even bigger personalities. He's got the corner office, the tailored suits, and a reputation as the nice guy in the industry. A bit old school, maybe, but loyal to a fault. Then there's Grace, his wife of 8 years, the love of his life, or so he thought. Grace is a dynamic, free-spirited woman with a flair for fashion and a gift for networking. She has this magnetic charm, the kind that fills a room and leaves people talking about her long after she's left. Together, they seemed like the perfect couple. Aaron and Grace met in college, where he was the studious, driven type, and she was the lively social butterfly. Opposites attracted, and for a long time, it felt like they brought out the best in each other. At least, that's how things seemed on the outside. Behind closed doors, the cracks had started to show. Grace was spending more time out, going to late-night dinners with business connections. And Aaron, caught up in work, hardly questioned it. Grace had always loved to socialize, but now it felt different. There was a new distance, an edge to her interactions that Aaron couldn't quite place. The opening scene of our story finds Aaron at a high-profile charity gala. One of those black-tie events where you have to know someone to get in, and the air practically hums with power and influence. Aaron doesn't like these gatherings much. He's more comfortable at home with a good book or a classic film. But Grace had insisted. "You need to be seen," she told him with a hint of impatience. "People respect you more when you're present." So here he is, glass of whiskey in hand, half listening to a conversation about property taxes as he scans the room, hoping to catch sight of Grace. She disappeared into the crowd as soon as they arrived, mingling with people he'd only ever heard about in passing. His eyes finally find her across the room, laughing and leaning into a conversation with someone who looks all too familiar, Leo Monroe. Now, let's pause here and talk about Leo. Leo is a self-made millionaire in his early 40s, one of the city's most ambitious real estate investors, and he's known to enjoy the thrill of the chase. Whether it's property or people, he's suave, successful, and just a bit too charming for his own good. Leo and Aaron had crossed paths at work a few times, and Aaron always got the feeling that Leo was sizing him up, like he was trying to figure out what made Aaron tick. And Grace, well, she'd always admired Leo's confidence. She'd often say, "Leo's the type who goes after what he wants without apologizing." So, when Aaron spots Grace and Leo, he can't shake this creeping sense of discomfort. He tells himself it's nothing. Grace is just being Grace, sociable and friendly. But something nags at him as he watches Leo lean in a little too close, his hand resting on Grace's arm a bit too long. It's subtle, but in that moment, Aaron feels like an outsider looking in on his own life. The night drags on, and Aaron tries to shake off the unease by diving into business conversations, anything to distract himself. But the image of Grace and Leo keeps replaying in his mind. By the time they finally head home, it's after midnight, and Grace is animated, recounting the people she met and the opportunities she's discovered. "You should have seen Leo tonight," she says with a spark in her eyes that Aaron hasn't seen in a while. "He has this new investment strategy that's absolutely genius." Aaron forces a smile, but deep down, something twists. It's a feeling he hasn't let himself entertain until now, a flicker of doubt. Over the next few weeks, Aaron notices subtle shifts in Grace's behavior. She's suddenly busier than ever, out networking at odd hours. And when she's home, she's glued to her phone, texting someone with a grin that fades the moment he walks into the room. Aaron starts to wonder if he's imagining things or if something really has changed. Then comes the day when Aaron's suspicions turn into something he can't ignore. It's a Friday evening, and he's supposed to meet Grace for dinner. But she texts, saying she's caught up at work. It's unusual, Grace never misses their Friday nights. Trying to shake off his unease, Aaron decides to go anyway, hoping that maybe she'll join him later. But as he's settling into the restaurant, his phone pings with a message from a mutual friend, a photo from across town. It's Grace and Leo, at a trendy little spot known for its intimate vibe. The picture shows them seated close, heads leaning in, clearly engrossed in each other. Aaron's chest tightens, and he stares at the photo, feeling his stomach drop. He sits there for a long time, wrestling with disbelief. Part of him wants to confront her immediately, but another part clings to the hope that maybe, somehow, it's all just a misunderstanding. So, he decides to give her a chance to explain, telling himself he'll approach this with an open mind. That night, when Grace finally comes home, Aaron is waiting. She seems surprised to see him still awake, and when he asks how her work dinner went, there's a flicker of something in her expression, something that looks a lot like guilt. She gives a vague answer, brushing it off as a meeting that went longer than expected, and heads to bed, leaving Aaron in the dark, literally and figuratively. Aaron's left staring at the closed bedroom door, his mind racing with questions he's afraid to answer. This is the moment when he realizes his life may not be as solid as he once believed, and the trust he'd taken for granted might be slipping through his fingers as days turn into weeks. Aaron can't shake the uneasy feeling that something is terribly wrong. Grace's excuses grow thinner, her late nights more frequent, and the phone that used to lie casually on the kitchen counter is now locked and glued to her hand. And it's not just her behavior that's off. Aaron starts noticing other strange details, like the new dresses in her closet and a mysterious set of perfume bottles he's never seen her wear before. But it's not just about the things. It's about that gut feeling. You know, that moment when all the little signs just start adding up, and suddenly you're staring at the truth you never wanted to see. One evening, Aaron decides he's had enough of second-guessing himself. So, he takes a deep breath and calls Grace over to sit with him in the living room. He tries to keep his tone light, but the tension is obvious. "Grace," he begins, searching her face. "Are you happy? Are we okay?" Grace, caught off guard, gives a half-hearted smile and brushes it off, saying, "Of course, Aaron, you're overthinking as usual." She laughs it off, but there's an edge to her tone, like she's almost irritated that he's even asking. And there's something in that response, that casual dismissal, that tells Aaron he's not just imagining things. He's officially done ignoring the signs. The tipping point comes when Aaron, by pure accident, stumbles upon a missed call on Grace's phone from none other than Leo Monroe. Grace has always been private, but this is the first time Aaron has a concrete reason to question her trust. It's no longer just a suspicion. It's a thread that, once pulled, could unravel everything. So, he decides to do what he never thought he'd have to. He begins to watch her a little closer, picking up on small things he'd previously ignored. He notices how she perks up every time her phone buzzes, how her smile fades when he's around, and how she's constantly telling him she's busy or tired. It's like she's living in a completely different world, one that he's been shut out of. But here's the thing about Aaron. He's not one to leap to conclusions without evidence. So, he decides to confront Leo directly, to finally put his suspicions to rest. One evening, after work, Aaron drops by Leo's favorite hangout, a slick bar downtown, the kind of place where people like Leo feel right at home. As he approaches, he sees Leo chatting with a few colleagues, laughter echoing through the room. Aaron steadies himself, walks up, and asks to have a word. Leo, always one for theatrics, raises an eyebrow and motions for Aaron to sit down. He acts as if he has no idea why Aaron is here, which only makes Aaron more determined. With as much calm as he can muster, Aaron cuts straight to the point. "Is there something going on between you and Grace?" Leo gives a slow, calculating smile, the kind that makes Aaron's blood boil. Instead of denying anything, he just shrugs and says, "Look, Aaron, maybe if you were a little less nice and a little more present, you wouldn't be asking me this." It's a dagger straight to Aaron's heart. Leo's words imply so much without saying anything outright, but it's enough to confirm what Aaron's gut has been screaming at him. Aaron feels a mix of anger, betrayal, and, worst of all, self-doubt. Could he really have been so blind? When Aaron gets home that night, he barely has the strength to look at Grace. She's already in bed, scrolling through her phone, not even bothering to ask him how his day was. This silence, this gap that's grown between them, it's unbearable. He wants to confront her, to yell, to demand answers, but part of him holds back. He's afraid of the truth, afraid of confirming that the woman he's loved for over a decade might already have one foot out the door. The next morning, Aaron wakes up with a new determination. If Grace has truly moved on, then he needs to know for sure. So, he does something he's never done before. He hires a private investigator. It feels strange, underhanded even, but Aaron has reached a point where he needs solid answers, something undeniable to either confirm his fears or put them to rest. Days pass, and Aaron waits for the investigator's report with a mix of dread and anticipation. Meanwhile, he keeps up the facade of normalcy, going through the motions, but every second is torture. Each time he sees Grace, he's torn between anger and heartbreak, wondering if she's really the person he thought he knew. Then the day comes. The investigator meets with Aaron, hands him a file, and gives him a sympathetic look, the kind people reserve for someone about to face something truly devastating. Aaron's hands tremble as he opens the file, flipping through photos of Grace and Leo together. Dinners, late-night meetups, even a weekend getaway that she claimed was a business retreat. It's all there in black and white, undeniable and unforgiving. For a moment, Aaron just stares at the photos, numb to everything around him. He feels like he's in a nightmare, one where the life he's worked so hard to build is crumbling around him. The woman he thought he'd grow old with, the one he trusted above anyone else, has been living a double life. But here's where things get interesting. Instead of breaking down, Aaron feels something shift inside him. It's like a spark of anger, a glimmer of resolve that's been lying dormant, waiting for this moment. He decides that he's not going to let this destroy him. Grace might have betrayed him, but he's not going to lose himself over it. That night, Aaron confronts Grace with the evidence, laying it out on the table, both literally and figuratively. Grace doesn't deny it. In fact, she almost looks relieved, as if she's been waiting for this moment, too. She tries to explain, to give him excuses, but Aaron has heard enough. He tells her, calmly but firmly, that their marriage is over. He won't be the nice guy who forgives and forgets, not this time. It's a turning point for Aaron, a moment when he realizes he's stronger than he thought. This isn't just the end of his marriage. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one where he won't settle for less than he deserves. And if you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more tales of love, betrayal, and everything in between. Your support means the world to us, and we're just getting started. In the days following their confrontation, Aaron feels the weight of his broken marriage settle in. It's a crushing reality, but it also fuels a fire inside him that he never knew he had. For the first time in years, he feels like he's seeing clearly. The fog of complacency and trust is gone, replaced by a resolve to reclaim his life on his own terms. Grace has chosen her path, and Aaron realizes that he's been given a chance to do the same. Now, Aaron is back at work, but something is different. Colleagues who once saw him as the nice guy sense a shift in his demeanor. He's sharper, more focused, and determined to make his mark beyond the shadow of his marriage. Aaron decides that he's done staying in his corner office and letting others take the spotlight. He's ready to be seen, respected, and valued for his own merits. But it's not just about the career climb. Aaron is ready to make changes in every aspect of his life. He reconnects with old friends he'd drifted from over the years, ones who remind him of the person he was before the obligations and compromises. Nights that once felt lonely are now filled with laughter and new memories, and he's rediscovering what it means to be surrounded by people who genuinely care about him. And, just when he thinks he's finally putting Grace behind him, life throws him a curveball. One evening, as he's wrapping up a late-night meeting, Aaron bumps into Mia, an old college friend he hasn't seen in years. Mia had always been a calming presence in his life, a brilliant artist with a free spirit and a deep understanding of people. Aaron remembers that she was the one person who'd called him out for his too nice approach to relationships back in college, always encouraging him to stand up for himself. Mia is warm and genuinely happy to see him, and for the first time in a long time, Aaron finds himself smiling without the weight of his recent heartbreak hanging over him. They decide to catch up over coffee, and what starts as a simple reunion quickly blossoms into something more. Aaron feels a spark he hasn't felt in years, and Mia's easygoing nature is exactly what he needs to balance out the intensity of his life right now. But it's not all smooth sailing. Just as Aaron begins to find happiness with Mia, Grace reappears in his life in the most unexpected way. One evening, Aaron is at home when there's a knock at his door. He opens it, and there stands Grace, looking nothing like the woman who left him. Gone is the glamorous, composed Grace. Instead, she looks worn out, almost desperate. Aaron's heart races, part of him wanting to shut the door and leave her standing outside, but the other part, his nice guy side, holds him back. Grace tells him that things with Leo didn't work out. She's vague about the details, but Aaron picks up on the fact that Leo, as charming as he was, turned out to be far less committed than he'd let on. Grace's new life has crumbled, and she's looking for a way back to the stability she once had with Aaron. But Aaron isn't the same man who would have taken her back without question. He listens to her story, feels the familiar sting of betrayal, but this time, he's able to look her in the eye and tell her, "I deserve better." He doesn't need her validation or approval anymore. Aaron has finally realized that he's not defined by his relationship or anyone else's perception of him. He's his own person, capable and strong in his own right. Grace leaves that night, her presence a mere shadow of the power she once held over him. Aaron is left feeling an overwhelming sense of relief, as if a chapter of his life has finally closed. As Aaron's world stabilizes, he continues to grow closer to Mia. Their relationship is built on mutual respect and understanding, and for the first time in a long time, Aaron feels like he's with someone who sees him for who he truly is. Mia encourages him to explore his passions, and soon Aaron finds himself diving into projects he'd once put on the back burner. Things he'd always wanted to do but never had the courage or time for. But there's one final test left for Aaron, one last obstacle before he can fully embrace his new life. As part of his job, Aaron is asked to lead a high-stakes project involving some of the city's top real estate investors. And wouldn't you know it, one of those investors is none other than Leo Monroe. The very man who shattered his marriage and left his life in disarray now sits across from him in a sleek boardroom, oblivious to the role he played in Aaron's transformation. Leo, in his typical style, is all bravado and charm, acting as if he and Aaron are old friends. He tries to chat Aaron up, mentioning Grace in a flippant, offhand way that stirs a mix of anger and satisfaction in Aaron. This time, however, Aaron has the upper hand. He's no longer the man who doubts himself or feels threatened by someone like Leo. He's finally come into his own. The project proceeds, and Aaron takes every opportunity to assert himself, to show Leo, and everyone else, that he's a force to be reckoned with. He's not the man who gets stepped on anymore. By the time the deal is finalized, Leo has gone from smug and overconfident to visibly uncomfortable, realizing that he's underestimated Aaron in every way possible. And that's when Aaron knows he's truly moved on. It's not about revenge or getting even. It's about proving to himself that he's capable, resilient, and worthy of respect. After his showdown with Leo, Aaron feels an intense sense of accomplishment, a weight lifting from his shoulders. He's proven to himself and to Leo that he's no longer the pushover he once was. But this victory is bittersweet, as he realizes that there's still one final piece of his past he hasn't fully let go of. His feelings about Grace and everything she put him through. This unresolved tension comes to a head one evening when he receives a phone call from Grace's sister, Emily. She's worried because Grace has been acting strangely, isolating herself and refusing to see family or friends. Emily hesitantly asks if Aaron could reach out to her, hoping his voice might be enough to pull Grace out of her spiral. First, Aaron hesitates. He's worked so hard to move on, and the idea of stepping back into Grace's world feels like taking 2 steps backward. But he can't ignore the small part of him that still cares for her. that remembers the good years they shared before everything went south. So, against his better judgment, he decides to check on her. The next evening, Aaron makes his way to Grace's apartment. The tension is palpable as he stands outside her door, wrestling with memories of their life together. When she finally opens the door, he barely recognizes the person standing in front of him. Grace, who was once so polished and poised, now looks lost, vulnerable, and almost broken. As they sit down to talk, Grace opens up in a way Aaron has never seen before. She admits that, after their divorce, she tried to fill the void with material things and shallow relationships, hoping they would make her feel whole. But, in the end, she realized that she was running from her own insecurities. She confesses that her affair with Leo was born out of her own fears, of growing old, of feeling trapped, of needing constant validation. For a moment, Aaron feels a rush of anger. It's a strange, almost physical reaction, like his body remembering all the pain she caused him. But then something shifts. He realizes that holding on to his resentment is only keeping him tied to the past. By letting it go, he can finally free himself from the last remnants of their broken relationship. In that moment, Aaron forgives Grace, not for her sake, but for his own peace. He stands up, tells her that he wishes her the best, and leaves her apartment feeling lighter than he has in years. It's the closure he didn't know he needed, and as he walks away, he feels a renewed sense of purpose, knowing he's finally free to embrace the life he's been building without any lingering regrets. With that weight lifted, Aaron throws himself into his work and his relationship with Mia, both of which are flourishing. He's fully invested in his career, leading projects with confidence and earning the respect of his colleagues. And Mia, well, she's been by his side through everything, encouraging him to keep pushing forward and reminding him of the strength he never knew he had. Then, just when things seem to be falling perfectly into place, an unexpected opportunity arises. Aaron's boss announces plans to retire, opening up the possibility of a major promotion, one that would make Aaron the new head of his division. It's a huge step up, and it's everything he's been working toward. But with the promotion comes a difficult choice. Accepting the position would mean even longer hours, more travel, and less time with Mia. It's a career-defining opportunity, but it would come at the cost of the personal life he's worked so hard to rebuild. For the first time, Aaron finds himself at a crossroads, forced to decide what truly matters to him. One evening, Aaron and Mia talk it over, and she encourages him to follow his heart. She tells him she'll support whatever decision he makes, but deep down, he knows that she values their time together just as much as he does. He realizes that this decision isn't just about his career. It's about the life he wants to build moving forward. After a lot of soul-searching, Aaron decides to turn down the promotion. It's a tough call, one that surprises even him, but he knows it's the right choice. He's no longer driven solely by ambition or the need to prove himself. Instead, he's focused on building a life that reflects his values and priorities. A life that includes Mia, his friends, and the stability he once took for granted. This decision marks the true climax of Aaron's journey. He's finally in control, no longer influenced by external pressures or other people's expectations. He's choosing his own path, one that's aligned with the person he's become through all his struggles and growth. With his new sense of direction, Aaron throws himself into his work with renewed energy, building a reputation for integrity and hard work. He's respected, admired, and, most importantly, he's at peace with himself. The pain of his past has transformed into strength, and he knows that whatever challenges lie ahead, he's ready to face them head-on. And there you have it, the powerful story of Aaron's journey from heartbreak to healing, from betrayal to self-discovery. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most difficult experiences in life are the ones that ultimately shape us, leading us to become the best versions of ourselves. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more tales of resilience, growth, and redemption. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Now that Aaron has turned down the promotion, he feels a strange mix of relief and apprehension. The decision, though difficult, has left him with a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. He knows that the path he's chosen reflects his priorities, and he's finally in a place where he feels at peace. But life has one final twist waiting for him, a challenge that will put everything he's built to the test. A few weeks after turning down the promotion, Aaron receives an unexpected call from his old company. They're facing a massive crisis with one of their biggest clients, who has threatened to pull their business unless Aaron personally oversees the project. It's an intense situation, with millions of dollars and the company's reputation hanging in the balance. His former boss, clearly desperate, begs Aaron to come in as a consultant, promising a significant payout if he can fix things. It's an opportunity that could solve all of Aaron's financial worries. With this payout, he could even start his own firm, a dream he's held quietly for years. But there's a catch. Taking the project would mean grueling hours and high-stress situations, pulling him away from the peaceful life he's tried so hard to build with Mia. He's at another crossroads, faced with a dilemma that could either catapult his career to new heights or risk everything he's worked for on the personal front. After discussing it with Mia, Aaron decides to take the job on a limited basis, with clear boundaries to ensure he can still prioritize their relationship. Mia is supportive, understanding that this is something he needs to do for himself. But as the project begins, the stress proves to be more than Aaron anticipated. The client's demands are relentless, and soon, he finds himself slipping back into old patterns, late nights, missed dinners, and a creeping sense of doubt that he can juggle both his professional ambitions and his commitment to Mia. The pressure mounts as Aaron realizes the extent of the issues with the project. It's not just a simple fix. It's a complete overhaul of the company's strategy, requiring every ounce of his expertise and time. He's torn between his desire to succeed and the promise he made to Mia to keep their relationship a priority. Just when things seem overwhelming, Aaron faces his biggest challenge yet, a revelation that shakes him to his core. As he's combing through old project files, he discovers evidence of unethical practices within the company. It turns out that certain higher-ups had been cutting corners and hiding expenses to boost profits. This deception is not only putting the project at risk but also threatens the company's reputation and, ultimately, Aaron's as well. Aaron is faced with an impossible choice: expose the corruption and risk his client's trust, or stay silent and protect his career. It's a test of his integrity, one that forces him to confront his values head-on. Late one night, after hours of deliberation, Aaron makes his choice. He contacts the client directly, explaining the situation and offering a transparent path forward. He proposes a solution that would involve major restructuring, something that would salvage the project but likely cost the company a significant amount. It's a risky move, but Aaron knows it's the right one. The client, initially taken aback, ultimately appreciates Aaron's honesty. They agree to continue working with him, but with strict oversight, ensuring that all processes are transparent moving forward. Aaron's reputation is on the line, but his commitment to doing the right thing earns him respect from both his client and his colleagues. However, the cost is high. The company, now dealing with the fallout from Aaron's revelation, decides to cut ties with him once the project is complete. Aaron is effectively blacklisted, with certain executives blaming him for ruining their biggest account. It's a painful blow, one that leaves Aaron questioning if he made the right decision after all. But through it all, Mia stands by him, reminding him that he stayed true to his principles and that, in the end, that's what really matters. Together, they work through the challenges, and Aaron begins to see that his decision, though costly, has opened up new opportunities. He realizes that this setback is, in fact, a chance to rebuild on his own terms. With his reputation intact and a newfound sense of purpose, Aaron decides to take the leap and start his own consulting firm. It's a daunting prospect, but he's no longer afraid. He's faced his fears, overcome betrayal, and emerged stronger and more resilient. And with Mia by his side, he knows he has everything he needs to succeed. As he opens his new office on the first day of business, Aaron looks out over the city, filled with gratitude for the journey that brought him here. He's no longer defined by his past or by the people who hurt him. Instead, he's built a future that reflects his integrity, strength, and resilience. With his new consulting firm up and running, Aaron's life seems to be settling into a rhythm. He's proud of what he's built, work that reflects his principles, and a relationship with Mia that feels steady and genuine. But as he navigates the early days of his firm, he faces one last unexpected test that will push him to his limits. Aaron's company gains traction quickly, attracting a handful of clients impressed by his transparency and integrity. He's finally working on his terms, and his reputation is earning him more respect than ever. But soon, he receives a call from a potential client with a high-stakes offer that could transform his business overnight. It's a massive logistics company looking to overhaul its operations, and they're offering a contract that would put Aaron's firm on the map in ways he'd only dreamed of. There's just one catch. The company's representative is none other than Leo Monroe. It's a name Aaron never expected to hear again, and the idea of working with the man who dismantled his marriage is like a punch to the gut. Aaron knows that working with Leo could compromise everything he's built. But the financial incentives are undeniable, and he's tempted by the chance to prove once and for all that he's risen above the person who tried to break him. As the negotiations progress, Aaron has to face Leo directly, meeting him in person to finalize the contract. The encounter is tense, charged with the history between them. Leo, as smooth and composed as ever, attempts to keep the conversation strictly business, but there's an undercurrent of challenge in his words, a reminder of the rivalry that drove them apart. He's smug, as if he expects Aaron to still be rattled, to harbor resentment that he can use to his advantage. But Aaron isn't the same man he was before. He looks Leo in the eye, unmoved by his attempts at manipulation, and calmly sets his terms for the partnership. He makes it clear that he's no longer interested in playing games, that if Leo wants to work with him, it will be on his terms and without any of the personal tension that once poisoned his life. This confidence shakes Leo, who suddenly realizes that Aaron has grown beyond the reach of his influence. Leo, clearly uncomfortable, nods in agreement, and the deal is sealed. But this victory for Aaron isn't without its risks. As the project begins, he quickly finds that Leo's company is as mired in corruption as the one he left behind, and he's forced to confront practices that go against everything he stands for. Aaron is now faced with the ultimate dilemma. He can either walk away from the contract, risking his new company's reputation and finances, or stay and attempt to reform the project from within. It's a high-stakes decision, one that could make or break his fledgling business. After much deliberation, Aaron decides to stay, but with a clear purpose. He plans to use the opportunity to overhaul the unethical practices that Leo's company has become known for. It's a bold move, one that requires him to stand firm and resist pressures to cut corners or turn a blind eye. And as he pushes for reform, the tension between him and Leo reaches a boiling point. In a climactic confrontation, Leo accuses Aaron of trying to play hero and undermining the company's goals for his own self-righteous reasons. Aaron, unshaken, responds that he's not interested in short-term gains at the expense of integrity. He reminds Leo that cutting corners has consequences, ones he's witnessed firsthand, and that true success isn't about wealth or power. It's about building something worth respecting. This moment marks the peak of Aaron's transformation. He's no longer seeking validation or revenge. Instead, he's driven by his own principles, unwilling to compromise even if it means risking his company's future. His calm defiance frustrates Leo, who realizes he's lost all control over Aaron. For the first time, Leo sees that he can't manipulate or intimidate Aaron anymore. The power dynamic has shifted completely. In the end, Aaron's determination pays off. The reforms he implements within the project win over key stakeholders, and the company's reputation begins to improve. It's a victory built on his terms, one that solidifies his position in the industry as a leader of integrity and vision. When the project finally concludes, Aaron finds himself standing in his office, reflecting on everything he's overcome. He's no longer defined by the past or the people who tried to pull him down. Instead, he's built a legacy of resilience, one he can be proud of. He's proven that true strength lies in standing firm in one's values, even when the stakes are high. And as he closes the chapter on this project, he realizes that he's finally at peace with his past, with the choices he's made, and with the future he's worked so hard to build. After successfully steering the project to a better place, Aaron feels a sense of pride and accomplishment. But his victory is short-lived. Just when he thinks he's moved past the shadows of his past, a bombshell revelation shakes his world yet again. One evening, Mia comes to him with something weighing on her mind. She's found out through a mutual connection that Leo isn't just any client. He had deliberately sought out Aaron's firm as part of a twisted plan to sabotage him. It turns out Leo had used the project to try to draw Aaron back into the world of unethical business practices, hoping he would fail. When Aaron refused to play along and instead pushed for reform, it enraged Leo. His endgame was to ruin Aaron's newfound reputation as a man of integrity, exposing him as a hypocrite if he ever compromised his principles. Aaron is shocked. He realizes that he had underestimated Leo's resentment. He knew they had clashed, but he never thought Leo would go this far just to see him fall. The revelation hits him hard, and all of his doubts about working with Leo resurface. For a moment, he even wonders if he should have walked away sooner, sparing himself the trouble. But then, he remembers why he stayed, to prove that he was capable of building something greater no matter the obstacles. Determined to take control of the situation, Aaron decides to confront Leo directly. He's done playing by anyone else's rules. He arranges a private meeting, and when Leo arrives, Aaron wastes no time getting to the point. Was this all just some twisted scheme? Aaron asks, his tone steady but laced with anger. Did you really go to all this trouble just to see me fail? Leo smirks, leaning back with that same smug confidence that once made Aaron doubt himself. You should know by now, Aaron, life is about winning. You think your integrity and principles mean anything in the real world? All they do is hold you back. Aaron looks at Leo, seeing him clearly for the first time. He realizes that Leo's obsession with power and control has blinded him to everything else, leaving him with nothing but an empty need for dominance. Aaron, on the other hand, has everything he needs: his values, his self-respect, and the knowledge that he doesn't need to win by Leo's standards. Winning at any cost leaves you with nothing worth having, Leo, Aaron says firmly. I'm done with your games. Leo's expression darkens, sensing that his plan has failed and that Aaron is truly beyond his control. He tries to intimidate Aaron one last time, threatening to use his influence to ruin Aaron's firm, but Aaron doesn't flinch. Instead, he calmly responds, "You've already lost. I have no interest in tearing you down. I'm just here to build something meaningful, something you'll never understand." With that, Aaron leaves the meeting, feeling a powerful sense of closure. He knows now that he's fully severed any lingering ties to his past, choosing a path that's true to his values. The experience, though harrowing, has only strengthened his resolve and clarified what truly matters to him. As he returns to his firm, Aaron is greeted by his team and Mia, all of whom have been standing by him through every challenge. They celebrate not only the success of the project but the incredible journey Aaron has made to reach this point. For the first time in his life, he feels an overwhelming sense of peace. He's surrounded by people he trusts, and he knows he's built something that reflects the best of who he is. It's a victory unlike any other, one that's defined not by beating others, but by staying true to himself. In that moment, Aaron realizes that his greatest triumph wasn't overcoming Leo or surviving betrayal. It was finding his own strength and standing firm, no matter the odds. After his intense confrontation with Leo, Aaron feels a renewed sense of purpose. Walking away from Leo's toxic influence marks a defining moment in his life, a choice to reject the destructive cycles he once felt trapped in. Yet the stakes remain high. His firm is now under Leo's scrutiny, and Aaron knows that Leo isn't the type to back down quietly. It's only a matter of time before Leo tries to sabotage his hard work. But instead of feeling intimidated, Aaron is emboldened. He's finally on his own path, surrounded by a team he trusts, and he's ready to face whatever comes next. His resolve is tested almost immediately when he learns that Leo has been spreading rumors in the industry, attempting to discredit Aaron's firm and damage his reputation. Clients begin calling, asking uncomfortable questions, and Aaron can feel the mounting pressure to either confront Leo's lies or lose the stability he's worked so hard to build. Determined not to let Leo's smear campaign go unanswered, Aaron gathers his team for an emergency meeting. It's a tense moment, as they all know the impact these rumors could have. Mia stands by his side, and the look in her eyes reminds him of all the support and encouragement she's shown him through this journey. He knows he owes it to her, to himself, and to everyone who believes in him to keep fighting. In the meeting, Aaron lays out a plan. Instead of retaliating against Leo directly, he decides to take a different approach. He'll focus on showcasing his firm's strengths, doubling down on transparency, and building even stronger relationships with their clients. Aaron believes that by staying true to his values and delivering outstanding results, he can counteract Leo's influence without sinking to his level. The strategy is bold, and his team is inspired. With everyone on board, they go to work immediately, contacting clients directly and sharing their recent successes in a series of public testimonials. The team pours everything into making their firm's integrity shine, and it doesn't take long for their efforts to pay off. Clients start responding positively, impressed by Aaron's honesty and commitment to quality. The rumors lose momentum, and Leo's attempts to damage Aaron's reputation begin to fall flat. But just when Aaron thinks he's weathered the storm, Leo makes one last, desperate move. He files a legal complaint against Aaron's firm, accusing them of contract violations and unethical practices, essentially mirroring his own wrongdoings and projecting them onto Aaron. It's a ruthless tactic, and Aaron knows that fighting the lawsuit will drain both his finances and his time. The tension in Aaron's life reaches a breaking point as he faces the biggest decision of his career. He could settle the lawsuit, cut his losses, and walk away with minimal damage, or he could fight it, risking everything in a battle to clear his name once and for all. Mia stands by him as he wrestles with this choice, her quiet support giving him the strength he needs. She reminds him of all the challenges he's overcome, how he's built his business on a foundation of honesty and integrity, and how he's proven to himself that he's stronger than any obstacle. With her encouragement, Aaron makes the difficult decision to fight. He hires a skilled legal team, determined to prove the truth and expose Leo's deception. The legal battle is grueling, filled with tense court sessions and long hours spent with his lawyers. But through it all, Aaron remains steadfast, refusing to let Leo's lies shake his belief in himself and his vision for the future. In the end, the court rules in Aaron's favor, recognizing the baselessness of Leo's claims and exposing his own unethical practices. The victory is a triumph not just for Aaron but for everyone who stood by him, everyone who believed in his ability to build something meaningful despite the odds. As he walks out of the courthouse, surrounded by his team and Mia, Aaron feels an overwhelming sense of relief and gratitude. He's not just free from Leo's shadow. He's finally free from the need to prove himself to anyone but himself. With this chapter of his life closed, Aaron returns to his firm with renewed passion, ready to continue building the legacy he's dreamed of. And for the first time, he feels like he's exactly where he's meant to be. With the court victory behind him, Aaron steps fully into his new life. He's no longer haunted by the weight of his past, nor driven by the need to prove himself to anyone. The business he's built on honesty and hard work has not only survived but thrived, standing as a testament to his resilience and integrity. His firm, once the underdog, now shines in the industry, attracting clients who respect Aaron's values and the solid reputation he's earned. But it's not just Aaron's business that has transformed. It's Aaron himself. Gone is the man who once hesitated, questioned his worth, or let others define his path. He's become someone who embraces challenges with courage, who knows that setbacks can lead to growth, and who no longer seeks validation from anyone but himself. This transformation is the true reward of his journey, a victory that goes beyond the courtroom or the office. As for Leo, he faces the fallout of his own choices. With his schemes exposed and his reputation in tatters, he's forced to reckon with the consequences of his actions. His attempts to undermine Aaron only ended up hurting his own standing, and he's left without the respect or trust he once commanded. It's a stark reminder that winning at any cost often comes with a steep price. Aaron, meanwhile, has gained something Leo may never understand: a life rooted in authenticity and built on values that can't be shaken. Through this journey, Aaron's relationship with Mia has also deepened. She stood by him through every obstacle, offering her support and encouragement when he needed it most. Together, they've faced challenges that could have broken them, But instead, those trials have only brought them closer. Aaron realizes that, unlike his past, this relationship is built on trust, respect, and a shared commitment to personal growth. For the first time, he feels like he's found a true partner, someone who sees and loves him for who he truly is. In the weeks following the court case, Aaron and Mia take a much-needed break, traveling to a quiet beach town to unwind. Away from the pressures of work and the noise of the city, they share simple moments, finally able to enjoy the life they've built together. One evening, as they sit by the shore watching the sunset, Aaron reflects on everything he's overcome. He no longer feels bitterness or regret. Instead, he feels gratitude for the experiences that shaped him and brought him to this point. As the sun dips below the horizon, Aaron turns to Mia, his voice filled with the peace he's longed for. "I wouldn't change any of it," he says. "Not the challenges, not the losses. They led me here to this moment with you." Mia smiles, taking his hand. They both know that life will continue to throw challenges their way, but they're ready to face them together, knowing that their strength comes not from the absence of struggles, but from the resilience they've built within themselves. When they return home, Aaron gets right back to work, more passionate than ever about growing his firm. He's no longer driven by the need to prove anything. Instead, he's focused on creating opportunities for others, helping his clients, and building something meaningful. With each passing day, his business flourishes, fueled by his unwavering commitment to integrity and excellence. In a final gesture of closure, Aaron reaches out to thank those who supported him along the way, especially his team, who stood by him through the toughest times. He knows he couldn't have reached this point without them, and he's determined to share his success with everyone who believed in him. And with that, Aaron's journey comes full circle. He's no longer the man defined by betrayal or haunted by self-doubt. He's a leader, a partner, and, most importantly, someone who's at peace with himself and his choices. As the story closes, Aaron stands in his office, overlooking the city. The view is the same, but everything else has changed. He knows that, no matter what challenges lie ahead, he has the strength to face them. Because this time, he's standing on a foundation that no one can take away, one built on courage, resilience, and the unshakable belief in his own worth. And that's where our story ends, a powerful reminder of how adversity can shape us, how strength comes from within, and how true success is about staying true to ourselves. If you enjoyed this journey with Aaron and would like to hear more stories of resilience, growth, and redemption, please subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us, and we're excited to bring you more inspiring stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.